Capitulum 12, Pericola Mares, Lecture 9, Versus centesimus, octogesimus, usque ad versum centesimum nonagesimum. Gubernator, annulum tam pulchrum admirator. We've seen a lot of mirari. Now admirari comes onto the stage, which is where we're getting the English cognate admire. The captain admires, deponent verb, admires the very beautiful, the so beautiful, tam pulchrum annulum, the very beautiful ring, tum conversus ad medum profecto inquit dives esse videris ut servus. Then, having turned, perfect participle but used as a deponent or reflexively, then having turned to Medus, he says, inquit, certainly you seem to be well off for a slave. Dives, divitis, a third declension, one termination, adjective. Videtis, you seem, you appear, you are seen to be, the original force. So passive voice, present tense, second person singular. For a slave, ut servus, we would say for in English, wouldn't we? But ut, just that old ut from before, introducing a comparison like or as a slave, you seem well to do, giving your girlfriend a present like this. Num dominus ille severus, qui tibi imperabat ut opus sordidum faceres, tantum peculium tibi dabat, pro opere sordido. That strict master wasn't giving you, was he, so great a slave wage, tantum peculium, on behalf of, for your low, mean, servile work, was he? So Num, the gubernator, is skeptical. He's expecting Medus to say, no, actually he wasn't giving me so great a peculium. And just a moment ago he said he was giving him no peculium. Peculium again being the little bit of money that a master might give a slave, so that someday the slave could buy his freedom. And then the relative clause. Qui tibi imperabat, that strict master, the gubernator is recalling Medus's words from a short time before, who was ordering you, imperabat, imperfect tense, to do mean work, to do low work. Imperabat, imperfect tense, and so followed by the imperfect subjunctive, faceres, not the present subjunctive, facias, but faceres, imperfect subjunctive. Opus sordidum, the direct objective, faceres. Medus Rubens nescit quid respondeat, et velut homo surdus mutusque ante eos stat. This here is an interesting sentence because it's the first instance of something that we will see much more of later on, and as Ørberg often does, he sprinkles in a bit of it before we actually come to a formal presentation of it. This is the subjunctive that we see in what are called indirect questions, an indirect question. So here's a direct question. What did he answer? What did he reply? What was his answer? This becomes an indirect question when it follows something like the first words that we see in the first line here. Medus does not know what to answer, what to respond. So the what is not standing out there on its own independently, but it's a question that has been set within another question. And the label to describe that sort of situation is that of an indirect question. Medus, blushing, medus rubens, medus growing red, does not know what to answer. And before now, we've been getting away without using indirect questions, because indirect questions require the subjunctive. We've been getting away without using them by this happy expedient in Latin where we can say quod rather than quid. Quid being the interrogative pronoun, quod being the relative pronoun. And we just switch out the quid for the quad or the quad for the quid, ending up with quod respondet, and make it a relative clause, and make the object of nescit not that whole question, that whole dependent clause, quid respondet, but make the object of nescit an understood id or illud. Medus nescit id quod respondeat. Medus does not know that which, I guess here it's not going to work out so well, but he does not know that which, if we were a different person, that which is answered, or that which, or what the reply is. With this sentence, I guess it will be hard to use that as substitution. Now that we have the subjunctive on the table, we can do these indirect questions quite freely. Medus blushing does not know what he. If we don't use an infinitive in English to express this idea, then we have to do something like what he will answer, what he should answer, what he ought to answer, and not just what he does answer. So I guess another thing to observe here is we can't translate this literally without taking it in a slightly different direction. The best thing to do as far as a translation is to say Medus does not know what to say. Medus does not know what to answer, and I suppose that's just the equivalent if rather than using the infinitive we use a finite expression and we say Medus does not know what he should answer. Medus does not know what he ought to say. So respondeat, the present subjunctive, and we'll see more of this construction in the chapters to come, but this is the first instance of it that Ørberg is sprinkling in. Et velut homo surdus mutusque ante eos stat. And just like a deaf and dumb person, he stands before them. Quin respondes, Lydia says. Why do you not answer? Recall that quin is the equivalent of cur non. Saculum promsisti pecuniae plenum. You brought out, that day at Albinus's shop, you brought out, perfect tense, a purse full of money. Saculum being described by the adjective plenum. Pecuniae, the genitive of money. Nonne tua erat ista pecunia. That money was yours, right? That money that you had with you was yours, right? Ista pecunia. She's trying to get a yes answer out of him with the nonne. Medus turbatus dum oculos Lydiae vidare conatur, mercatorem celeriter accedere videt. Medus, shaken, troubled, disturbed, while he tries to avoid, to escape, vitare, the eyes of Lydia, conatur, present tense, deponent verb, mercatorem celeriter accedere videt, sees, this accusative with infinitive, sees that the merchant is coming up swiftly to where they're standing on the ship.